Now, I need to twist the tale a little bit more here. Who was Karna? Everybody was wondering this. Is he truly the son of a humble charioteer? Is it possible that he could come walk into this arena of princes who were trained by the greatest of all teachers and match weapon to weapon, mantra for mantra with the greatest of them all? Is that really possible? Well, perhaps it is. Of course it should be, but it's not very probable. Unknown to everybody, Karna was actually the eldest of all the Pandavas. Remember, I told you there's 5 of them. In reality, there were 6. The mother of the Pandavas, named Kunti, when she was a young maiden, she had conceived and given birth to Karna. And she didn't know, she was very young, and said, what do I do? Here's this beautiful baby. It has come out with this adamantine golden armor around it. And it has all the auspicious signs of somebody that is bound to have a great destiny. But on the other hand, how can I bring infamy to my house, to my father? Not knowing what to do, filled with confusion, remorse, and sorrow, she puts the baby in a reed boat, goes to the back of the palace where the holy Jamuna river flows, and lets it float away from her. And downstream, a charioteer and his wife, who were praying to God to have children, they find this beautiful baby and adopt it, raise it as their own. So it was that Karna, the eldest of the Pandavas, who would have been king of the entire realm unquestioned, thinks of himself as the son of a humble charioteer and is happy with the paltry little kingdom given to him by the evil Duryodhana. And instead of giving his life for the great Kuru kingdom, he swears fealty to this disloyal, lustful, ambitious, evil man. Now, about a year passes from this tournament, and Yudhishthira, something in him begins to show itself. He was already very inclined towards dharma. But he also, people notice that he never lies, neither by omission nor by commission. Just being around him, it feels that your own reason to tell those little lies of convenience evaporate. It's as if you can see something farther. People begin to recognize this, and people talk in the capital city. They say, Yudhishthira has to be the next king. How could it be otherwise? And Bhishma too realizes this. And then, against the objections of Duryodhana and Dhritarashtra, he appoints Yudhishthira as the heir apparent. Duryodhana is seething with anger. His desire for the kingdom is so great that it's inconceivable to him that he cannot have it. I told you, Mahabharata, every now and then ask yourself, what would I do? Have you found yourself in such a situation? It's inconceivable. Maybe a trivial thing, it's inconceivable that I don't have my morning coffee. You might laugh, but it's the same thing. A grain of sand contains within itself the seed of the entire universe. But nonetheless, just hold that thought. It's inconceivable to him. So he plots with Karna and one other man named Shakuni. Keep this man in mind. We'll encounter him again and again, because Shakuni is pure, unadulterated evil. It's not that he tries to be evil, it is that he doesn't know how to not be evil. Okay, do you see the difference? That is Shakuni. Now, I have to tell you his backstory. Many years before the present time, Bhishma, now Bhishma is, like I said, the very epitome of sacrifice and selflessness. He was a very honorable man, very dharmic in his own way. But he would do anything to make sure that the Kuru kingdom would prosper. So he had the blind king Dhritarashtra, and Dhritarashtra needed to get married. Instead of waiting for Dhritarashtra to choose somebody or for some princess to choose him, he says, he looks at map of the entire great continent and says, who would be the best wife for my nephew Dhritarashtra? And then he says, way there in the northwest, in this arid region, there live this great tribe of people, and they're called Gandharas, a region today that we know as Afghanistan. So in this arid, windswept region, in this great kingdom, I am going to go and ask them to give the princess Gandhari, ask her hand for marriage. So Bhishma goes. He's such a formidable man that who is going to resist him? So the king says, yes, sir, of course, it's my honor, but it really isn't. Because she's coming down, getting married to this blind king, and she doesn't want it. So Bhishma brings her back. In reality, he's actually abducted in all but name. But it isn't that way. It's all done with consent and this and that. But he uses his force to bring her. And Gandhari is a very virtuous, very strong woman. She marries Dhritarashtra. And then she calls her maids. He says, bring me thick pieces of cloth. And you know what she does with it? On the day of her marriage, she fashions a blindfold. And she puts on the blindfold. And she says, this blindfold will never come off until I leave this body. Because if my husband cannot see, I also will not see. And to her dying days, much later when she's consumed by a forest fire in her old age, she still wears the blindfold. Gandhari. But a remarkable thing happens. As if by blocking out the stimulus of the external eyes, it's as if she's able to perceive, intuit, and see better than anybody else. She becomes one of the greatest common sense and intuition of anybody in the kingdom. Such is the nature of the Kuru kingdom. The elderly patriarch Bhishma, the lustful Duryodhana, the indomitable Karna, Gandhari, Dhritarashtra, and of course the Pandavas. Gandhari's brother is none other than Shakuni, the one of pure evil. Shakuni cannot bear what his sister is going through, so he makes a pledge to himself saying, I will destroy Bhishma. I will destroy Dhritarashtra. I will spend my entire life working to destroy the Pandavas, the Kauravas, the entire Kuru clan until it's decimated and lies in ashes. I will know no rest. Such is the man that, seething with thwarted ambitions, Duryodhana goes to his uncle and says, Uncle Shakuni, my dear friend Karna, what should I do? Shakuni, like all evil people, he has a silver tongue. He feels as if he speaks with your highest interest in mind. And he has a reality distortion field, as they say these days, that he can change the situation and make it appear whatever he wants to. He's completely amoral, deceptive. He's a master of delusion. Instead of advising Duryodhana that he should be happy with what he gets, he says instead, Duryodhana, the Pandavas are way too powerful. There's nothing you can do. Even with Karna being present, looks at Karna, says, I don't mean anything bad, but really, Pandavas are way too powerful. So you cannot conquer them with brute force, but I have a way of getting rid of all of them. Duryodhana says, what is it? Shakuni, tell me. And Shakuni proceeds to tell them. What a plan it was. I won't tell you yet. I'll tell you what that is soon. Now, nearby the capital city, there is a smaller city called Varanavat. The name is not that important, but instead of calling it a city, I'll give it the actual name, Varanavat. Now, this Varanavat, the city, from ancient times, it's well known for a festival of Shiva that it celebrates every year. So Duryodhana approaches Yudhishthira and says, okay, Yudhishthira, my brother, he puts his arm around his shoulders, all friendly, and says, Yudhishthira, why don't you and the Pandavas go to Varanavat for some time? The festival of Shiva is approaching. And you've been working so hard, around you people don't tell lies anymore, and it's kind of, people really want to be themselves for a little bit. You go do your thing, and I think you need to unwind a little bit. And Yudhishthira is, this is not Duryodhana, what's going on? And then Duryodhana goes, convinces Dhritarashtra and Bhishma and says, my dear brother Yudhishthira and the Pandavas, they've been so virtuous. We've all trained in that boot camp that Dronacharya set up, and now none of us had any rest. I think they should go take a vacation. I'll take care of things over here, not to worry. Please tell them. They are not listening. And so everybody persuades, and Yudhishthira is still unconvinced. So Duryodhana says, no, you just cannot say no, because I have already built a great big palace for you. It's brand new, it's luxurious, you won't miss anything. In fact, it's so new that it still has that new palace smell in it. Okay? And so Yudhishthira says, okay, well, I've never been in a new palace. This one's pretty old. It's been down for 1,000 generations. So eventually, he goes to Varanavat. All the Pandavas and their mother Kunti go to Varanavat. And the citizens there are overjoyed to see Yudhishthira. And they welcome him because he is the future king, and they've heard so much about him and about Bhima, the powerful, and Arjuna, the indomitable, and Nakula, the fourth Pandava brother. He was known to be so handsome, so attractive, and he had this extraordinary kinship with animals, Nakula. So he was a horseman par excellence. There's nobody, well, except one, I'll tell you more about, who was a better horseman than Nakula, but other than this other guy, he was the best ever. And Sahadeva, the youngest brother, now Sahadeva was somebody to reckon with. He was always silent, never spoke. But when you asked him something, what he said always became true. He was filled with such deep and extraordinary wisdom. And he was also the master of wielding the spear. So here are the Pandavas, Yudhishthira, Bhima, Arjuna, Nakula, and Sahadeva, and they are in Varanavat. And they go into the new palace. And sure enough, the palace does have a new palace smell. It really was quite something. Everybody, wow, I've never smelled a new palace before. Okay? But keep this in mind, I'm not merely being tongue-in-cheek. Where's that new palace smell? Wow, this smells really good. And so they go mingle. The Shiva festival was marvelous. They enjoy themselves for days and days. But Yudhishthira is a little suspicious about the whole thing. It's like, the new palace smelled. I know Duryodhana said it, and then he keeps kind of working through it, and then suddenly it hits him one evening. Wow, this entire palace it's got good solid structure. It's a real thing. It won't blow away in wind or anything. Very sturdily constructed. But the finishing and all the mortar and so on is made of flammable material, ghee, fat, and mostly lacquer. Okay, so it came to be known later as the House of Lac because of the lacquer. Flammable lacquer. So this new palace smell, what everybody was smelling, was the smell of their own doom, because this was a powder keg waiting to burn them alive. They don't know what to do. I mean, what would you do if somebody gave you a new palace and kind of, you're a very public figure and you just cannot go to a Motel 6 or something? It doesn't work that way with princes. They are working under constraints. And nonetheless, they kind of stay there for a while. And then one night, there's a windy evening. The palace catches fire, and it burns as if a lightning has struck a dry forest, whipped by the winds. Within minutes, it's reduced to a crisp. The citizens of Varanavat and the capital city are stunned. They're flabbergasted. They don't know what to do. And then they go into the ruins and they find 6 charred bodies in there. And they think, this the Pandavas and their mother are dead. And news reaches back the capital city. And Bhishma is distraught. Dhritarashtra sheds crocodile tears, fake tears. Inside he's very happy because his sons now get the kingdom. Duryodhana and Karna and Shakuni are ecstatic, but outside they are crying the loudest. And all the final rites are done for the Pandavas and Kunti, and the entire city is in gloom and in darkness. But then, of course, as you've all guessed, the Pandavas knew about this, and secretly they have dug a tunnel through the palace into the forest. And then on that night, when it catches on fire, they go through the tunnel, and they want to be as far away as possible because with Shakuni being present, their life is in danger. And they start walking, and very soon Kunti falls down. I mean, how could she bear the rigors of the forest? Then what to do? Then Bhima says, okay, this is enough. He's so powerful. He hoists Kunti on his shoulders, and then he picks up Yudhishthira, and Yudhishthira says, well, what are you doing? I can walk, or mother cannot walk. He said, no, you can't walk. You just think you can. And he hoists Yudhishthira on his other shoulder, here left shoulder, and he picks up Arjuna, and Arjuna, hey, I know all magical weapons, I can walk. You know the weapons, when time comes, use them, but you can't walk. Sit on my shoulder. And then he sits on the shoulder, and he scoops up Nakula and Sahadeva, and he holds them like children on his waist, and then begins to run across the forest. He jumps over swift flowing streams. It was a craggy terrain as well, so he jumps over rocks. And then when there are jackals and wolves and wild dogs and lions and leopards and cheetahs and so on, he roars so loudly that these predatory animals get scared and run away. And he runs so fast like the wind that the others that he's carrying actually faint. He runs so fast, and before you know it, the Pandavas are in the deep forest, very deep forest. So that's why nobody knows. Everybody thinks that they are dead. So into this milieu, it's now time to introduce the princess.